Nowadays, it's very common for people to complain about the sound of modern music, and many things can be said about that, but one of the most common arguments is that modern music sounds very formulaic, very robotic. It almost feels like there is no life put into it. And there is some form of validity to that argument, because modern music production involves many techniques that allows for many of the steps that could have been taking place while the recording of the track happened during the recording sessions to be done later by someone who is not necessarily the musician, usually done by the producer or the mixing engineer in later stages of the production. This approach comes with many problems. As a musician, you need to react to the sound of your instrument while performing, otherwise you won't be delivering the best performance possible, because a good chunk of what you do as a musician, let's say a guitar player, is based on the sound coming out of your amplifier and effects. By leaving the decision to someone else in a later stage, you are going to be missing out that particular element of liveliness that comes from the real live performance. The second problem will make itself manifest while the mixing process takes place, because the mixing engineer, not knowing what kind of effects the artist and the producer have in their heads, will try his best to get something that sounds good. But without having any form of reference to what is expected from him, the mixing engineer is going to get into a back and forth battle trying to figure out what's going on in the head of the producer or the musician. With that in mind, I decided to develop my own technique in which I took the best of both worlds, in which I involved some of the modern techniques that allowed me to be more precise when it comes to the crafting of tone, but also by implementing the idea of committing to sounds while recording. In this video, I'm going to show you how I do it while tracking a bass line for a particular song that I'm working on at the moment. And for this example, I'm going to be using a technique known as reamp, which basically speaking stands for me recording the bass line directly into an audio interface with no effects whatsoever applied to it, for it later be sent out into the real world to be hitting the front end of an amplifier for it to be re-recorded once again in the digital realm. But if you don't happen to own an amplifier at the moment, you can replicate the exact same techniques using software, something like Tonics. Because if you think about it, when you record your guitar into your interface using something like Guitar Rig or Tonics, you're doing basically the same. You're recording a DI track and then applying the sound of the amplifier as a plugin. What you're about to see is the entirety of the reamping session with little to no editing, including the mistakes that I committed along the way. I recommend you to watch those as well, because the best way to improve ourselves is by learning from our mistakes. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go. Okay, so let's get started. I already have my whole system hooked up, and well, let's begin. The usual approach that I always have when reamping is first selecting a section on which I'm going to be actually listening to the track for a while, so I can actually make sure that my playback is based on actual content, not just a single note. And let me take you over here. This section is where I have all of the DI tracks already isolated. These guys are sent or are controlled by this summing bus. So we're going to begin with the bass. I already have my bassman hooked up, and the signal path is the following. Once it's out of the interface, I'm hitting my compressor. This is a custom-made compressor that I got. It's beautiful sounding. It's excellent for bass. Then it hits the MicroPitch or the pitch factor, if I put it correctly, but won't be used right now. I have it for a particular section of the track. And then into my sense amp. The sense amp actually is put in two different signals. One is going into my recording device here, which is the Universal Audio's 4710D. And I'm going to be recording the DI track coming out of the sense amp. And then it goes from the sense amp into the Fender, which is going to be my amp sound, of course. So let's begin. I'm going to press play, and we're going to be adding the sound to taste. Here we go. Love it. It's already working. From here, it's only a matter of actually recording the track. And let's do it. One thing, this amp sound, I'm using the Celestion cabinet speaker simulator by this guy Octave. It's a fantastic one, and you have control over the position of the microphone. You can change the speaker, of course, but also even change the size of the speakers and the amount of speakers per cabinet. So I'm going to be recording this from the top, and once we hit the next section on which I'm going to be using the MicroPitch, I will tell you. One thing, the difference in between the output of my DI and my amp is gigantic. So I'm gonna address that by using the preamp here. So let's see. I'm gonna check. Okay, now I'm gonna rebalance the mix. Okay, this sounds correct. Let's go from the top. Now we're gonna be recording. So bass and yes, here we go. Okay, that's a section. And here is where I'm gonna be applying the pitch factor. The idea is to add a little bit of a harmonizer effect through the use of the pitch factor to the bass. In that particular section on which you got a little bit of a bassier track, it will make it feel a bit fuller and much more powerful. So let's see. For this, I will create a loop of that particular region. I think it's all the way down here. And I will just mute out those regions. So that way we can actually monitor without having issues. And I'm gonna mute my synth for now. Let's see. I think we got it. So I'm gonna just get my recording set up again, ready, and unmute the region. And from here, we're just gonna turn the pedal on when the section kicks in. Here we go. the way, if you happen to like this video, please let me know by clicking on the like button underneath. Let's continue.
A few moments later.
I think that section would be great if I add a little bit of an octave, once again using the pitch factor. Yeah, there is a particular effect on the pitch factor I could use. So let's see. Once again, we're gonna do the same trick. Let me find the section in question. Because in this section, the track goes a little bit heavier. So let's see. I'm gonna mute the regions and let's find the appropriate sound. Okay, here the plan is to add a little bit of grittiness to the tone of the entire track, not just to the bass. Because by adding the octave and the fuzz to the tone, it's adding a little bit of more robustness. Just one thing, I will have to be extra careful with when mixing because it's adding a little bit of rumble, which makes me think that I should maybe change a little bit the tone of my reamping, remiking setup. So I think we got plenty of reverb. So let's do it. Here we go. I'm gonna remove the input for my DI. I'm not liking it, being frank. Let's try something different. Maybe we can try the... let's go for the... Probably the 910, 949. Because in this case, I will go for the chromatic. But let's go for modern. No feedback because I don't want delay. And let's see. I'm gonna add an octave higher. This guy is gonna be an octave down. So let's see once again. This is more on the ballpark. Now let's see in context. I'm gonna bring back the drums and maybe control the amount of wet. Here we go. Excellent. I love it. So let's do it. Again, we're gonna record, but let's bring back those guys back, and I'm gonna just, well, make sure that they are selected for recording and armed. Here we go. You know what? I think it's gonna be cool if I keep the pitch factor on for that section. Let's see. Oh, damn it. I loved everything but the ending. So let's do it again. You know what? I think for this final section, it would be good adding a little bit of chorus to the tone of the bass, but not in a super present fashion. So for this, I think I'm going to use the MicroPitch. So again, we're going to mute the previous regions, and now isolate the sound of our bass for now, so we can see exactly what kind of sound we get. And I'm gonna loop this section. Let's see how it fares with the bass and the kick drum. It works. Let's see how it fares in the context of the entire mix. Okay, so let's commit. Here we go. Final section of the track when it comes to the bass. Recording, bass, DI, and amp. Here we go. That's a bass. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. And if you want to get more content like this, make sure to click on the subscribe button and also the notification bell. As usual, the only thing left to remind you is that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that I will see you when I see you.